Hi everyone and welcome back to National League Lowdown with me, Dan. I'm joined by my usual esteemed panel. Craig, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Good to get back into the midweek games. Mark, how are you, mate? You okay?
Aloha, everybody. Yes, midweek games. I won't dwell too much on Matt getting beaten 3-1 by Merthyr, but a shout to the 66 fans who came up all the way there after going to Kings Lynn on Saturday. Fair play to them. But we've got Josh Kay, James Edmondson on loan today, so we'll do better at Kidderminster. But yeah, all is well. All is well.
Good, mate. Good, mate. And tonight we're joined by Ryan. How are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having you, mate. We're going to obviously be covering Scunthorpe, which is your team. Obviously, you've had a really good start to the season. Impressed a lot of people, especially with the firepower up front. What have you made of the start of the season so far?
Yeah, like I say, it's been really impressive. It's difficult to summarise it because I don't actually know whether we've officially played 5 games or 6 games yet. Obviously, with the abandonment the other day, we don't know the actual outcome of that yet. Hopefully, there'll be an announcement, I think, tomorrow about that before we go and play Wealdstone on Saturday. But I'll talk about it as if we've drawn the game on Tuesday. So 3 wins and 3 draws. We're still unbeaten at the moment. I think there's only Hartlepool and Forest Green that are still unbeaten, as well as ourselves in the league. And we've been really competitive. Obviously, we only went up through the playoffs last year. It was actually Brackley that beat us to the league by a couple of points. And I'm quite surprised how well we've done, to be honest. I wouldn't say we've played any of the sort of top 3 or 4 sides yet, or certainly sides you would expect to be in the top 3 or 4. So we've got tougher tests to come, but overall, I'm really satisfied. I had us down to finish about 18th this season, and I'd have been happy with that. As long as we survive and sort of stabilise at this level, I would be happy. But obviously, with the start we've had, I'm hopeful we can do a little bit better than that now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said to you before we went live, obviously you come in with your expectations before the season starts, but obviously there's such a strong start, the amount of goals you're scoring, the football you're playing, your expectations kind of tailor to that, don't they? Because you're now higher up than you thought you were going to be. You've started better than you thought you were going to be, so you're obviously expecting to finish higher this season now than 18th, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest with you, the last 2 draws that we've had, away at Brackley and away at Eastleigh, have both been last-minute equalisers from the opposition. So, to be honest, we could actually be on more points than what we are currently. And yeah, like I say, we've been really competitive. Long may it continue. I do worry a little bit about our squad depth in terms of if we get a few bad injuries to key players. I think that's when we'll be really tested. But while we've got a relatively fully fit squad, we've got a couple of suspensions at the moment and small injuries, but nothing too major, touch wood. But while we've got a fully fit squad, I'm fairly confident we'll surprise a few this season, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you've already surprised a lot of people just with the start you've had anyways. But I know for me and Mark, I think we both predicted you to do quite well this season coming up. Because in my opinion, Scunthorpe's always been an EFL team. You know, you fell on hard times, obviously dropped down the leagues, but you know, you've always been a football league side, and I think you're just finding your feet and gradually making your way back up, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we spent many years in League One and League Two. I think since the downfall of the club, we had 2, let's say, dodgy owners back to back, and fell down to the National League North. So because of them sort of bad times, I think fans have sort of reset their expectations. I know a lot of other supporters from the outside will say we are an EFL club, we should be an EFL club, and I agree with that. But it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. It feels like we had to get promoted last season out the National League North. Obviously, Macclesfield coming into the division, Worksop, Chester, Kidderminster. There's lots of tough sides in that division. And I think it would have been even more difficult to get out this time if we hadn't have done that last season. So I'm relieved that we got the job done against Chester. And yeah, as I say, hopefully we'll kick on this season and really stabilise at the level, really.
Yeah, I agree, mate. And we obviously mentioned it about firepower, your strike force. I'm going to come to Mark on this because Mark has spoke very highly of your attack. Mark, so I know you had a question for Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, your front three. I mean, I've been a fan. I mean, Danny Whitehall, I said, was one of your essential signings of the summer, as was Callum Roberts. I still can't believe that you managed to convince him to leave Aberdeen to go down to Scunthorpe in the National League North at the time. I thought that was unbelievable bit of business there. That was some persuading. But Declan Howe, you got him. Somebody's finally taken a chance on Declan Howe. He played for Gainsborough against Mac in the NPL. How are you? What do you think he's added to having the likes of Roberts and Whitehall? How have you found him in his transition to the full-time game?
Yeah, he's looked right at home, to be honest with you. I am a big admirer of Deck Howe myself. I actually don't live too far away from Gainsborough, so I've seen quite a bit of Deck Howe before he came to Scunthorpe, and I can see what he's all about. He's got that knack, he's got that fox in the box kind of instinct where he's just in the right place at the right time. A lot of people will say, "Oh, he's only scoring tap-ins and things like that," but for me, they're the best goals
Doesn't
to be
matter.
scoring. Because you're getting in the right positions and finishing them off. But it's more than that. What I've seen so far from Deck, it's his work rate as well off the ball. He's been really working hard, sort of chasing back defenders and helping the fullbacks out as well. So yeah, he's made it look seamless, to be honest. Obviously, a lot of fans had the doubts because he's coming from Gainsborough and the two divisions below. But to me, he'd already half proved it anyway with Gainsborough's FA Cup run last season. He scored goals against the likes of Boston and other sides as well. So he'd done it against sides from either step 2 or step 1 already. So yeah, long may it continue. He's on 4 goals at the moment, which I think is a pretty good return in 6 games. He could have easily had a couple more as well, where he's just sort of been on the end of crosses and just missed the ball kind of thing. And yeah, I'm delighted for Deck. He's a local lad, and he seems like a popular lad in this sort of changing rooms and in and around the club as well. So yeah, I'm delighted for Deck.
Yeah, I mean, there was one game I noticed. The game in particular escapes me, but he scored 2 goals, and both of them, I think I mentioned on here, the total yardage from both goals were about 8 yards out. Like if you put them, but
Yeah,
they're both just
Woking at home.
tap-ins. Yeah, both tap-ins, and I was like, but I said there's an art to that. These strikers that score these amazing worldies, that's all great as well, but they've got to have the art to be able to know where to be, make them runs, make that movement. And like I say, it doesn't matter if you're doing it in the NPL or you're doing it in the National League South. These players that they will adapt. They will adapt. Like I think Mark said there, just the only bigger difference for him now is it's full time now instead of part time. But he seems to be taking it like a duck to water.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest doubts because we brought in last season, we brought in Carlton Ubazonu from Chorley, and he struggled a little bit to start with the transition from going part time to full time, and he was sort of picking up muscle strains and things like that. He did get going in the end, but it took him a while to get into it. So that was my only doubt with Deck. I never doubted his ability. As you say, if you've got the knack, you've got the knack, and as I always say, the goals don't move. It doesn't matter what league you're in; the goals don't move position. And if you know, if you know where the goal is, you know where the goal is. And yeah, that was my only doubt with Deck was could he sort of transition quickly into full time football? But he's already shown that he can, and his ability is there for all to see. And as I say, long may it continue for Scunthorpe, hopefully.
Yeah, I
Reflect
mean,
on.
go on,
Sorry.
Mark. Go on, Mark. No, go
Yeah,
on, Mark.
we'll reflect on the game later on in the reviews. But how's and do forgive me for my pronunciation here. How's Jean Bellejuan doing?
I usually just know him as JB just to make it easier because I'm not 100% sure either. Yeah, there was an update from the club yesterday to say that he travelled back on the team coach, which is obviously good news. He didn't go to hospital, as far as I'm aware. He had some tests in the Eastleigh medical room, and I believe he's back home now and just resting. And as far as I'm aware, Archie Harris, who was involved in the collision as well for Eastleigh, I believe he's back home now. He's been released from hospital. And he's been ordered to rest for 48 hours, I think. But he's passed all his tests and everything like that, which is a
Excellent.
massive relief because it was a pretty nasty collision at the time, and a lot of fans were pretty worried about the potential outcomes, should we say. But it was certainly the right decision to abandon the game when they did. I know it was really late on, but health and safety obviously comes first, and yeah, thankfully, it looks like they're both going to be okay. So that's great news on that front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we wish them both very well and a very speedy recovery after that. Head injuries are becoming part and parcel of the game for some strange reason. But no, we do wish them well, and yeah, and who did you have Wealdstone on Saturday? What, how how have you been finding playing? Because you played against some clubs in the National League North, your Chesters, your Kidderminsters, your Brackleys last season, and they're all good footballing sides. How out of the games that you've been watching now you've been promoted, how are you finding the real mixture of teams? Because as you say, you've not played any of the, well, let's call them big three, shall we? But how are you finding it? How are you finding watching games? I know Dan's had a bit of a difference of opinion watching Carlisle.
Yeah, so I have felt the step up. I think most sides that we've played have been better on the ball, and they've kept the ball better. Um, I've also found that teams have approached it slightly differently when they've played us. They've actually come and had a bit of a go at us, whereas in the National League North, it was sort of 95% of the teams would come, particularly if we was at home, they would come and they would sit two banks of five and just try and defend for as long as possible. And when they got the ball, it was pretty much anywhere will do, and we'll reset. So I think the quality has been better, but I'm not surprised at that. It is an obvious step up. You're going from regional football to national football. And pretty much every team in this division is full time now as well. So it's no surprise that there's been a step up. And that's why I'm really sort of pleased with how we've adapted to it so far. But I'm not going to get carried away because of the fixtures that we've had. Obviously, you can only beat and draw with what's in front of you. But there is definitely tougher tests to come in the next few weeks. At the end of September, we've got Southend, York, and Carlisle in the space of a week.
Oh.
So that's going to really sort of test what we're all about. And if we can get points out of there, then it's a different outlook. But yeah, you can't take it away from the lads. They've had a great start. Ollie Ewing, who's a central midfielder, who we've signed from Leicester, looks absolutely unbelievable at the moment. He's on for Player of the Month with the club as well, and he looks a real good find. He's absolutely running the show, to be honest, in the centre of the park most games. He's really getting to grips with the midfield and driving us forward. So hopefully he can continue with that. And like I say, it's just about keeping our key players fit. The likes of Danny Whitehall, Callum Roberts, they've both had sort of injury issues in the past. So hopefully we keep them fit and can keep on grinding out results, hopefully.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
want to keep an eye out, lads. Mr. Ewing there.
yeah, definitely. I was just going to say there, you said about obviously your opening games and you can only beat what's in front of you. But the key thing is there for me is you can build up some momentum before you come up against them good teams. So you say now you've got a tough run of fixtures coming up, but you could still be unbeaten by the time you play them. And then there's that belief in your mind, when you go out there. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, the fixtures that you've had, because it builds up that belief and, that promise. And, you're not too disheartened if you do lose one or two of them games. You're still in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. We've also got Forest Green next Saturday as well away. So
Oh,
yeah,
please beat them.
Yeah,
Please beat them.
we've got a real tough month coming up. So yeah, it's going to really test us. I'm not saying the other teams haven't tested us. They have. Every single team's been a test in a different way, and every team's had a different style. I mean, Tamworth on the first game, they're very direct. They're very long ball, long throw with Tom Tonks. They've got their own style, and they're good at what they do. They've come a long way doing what they do. Woking came to our place, and they were a little bit better on the ball, but we managed to catch them out on the counter attack a couple of times for the goals. Halifax played reasonably well with the ball, although we had 10 men in that game, so it's easy to sort of pass it around the back when when you're playing against 10 men, but they didn't actually hurt us too much apart from the goal. So every team's had a different style, and I think that's what makes the National League so good in a way, that everybody has different styles and everybody can beat everybody, as we've seen with some of the results so far already this season. There's been some strange results coming out. So yeah, it's a very competitive league. I don't see anybody running away with it this season, to be honest, in terms of getting 105 points. I think it'll be a little bit more tight. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds.
Yeah, I agree, mate. As from a Carlisle perspective, like when we've come down, the one thing that's like come to my attention is that just everybody that we've played has had a different setup. Everyone's got a different style of play. There's always that one key player that everyone's focusing on. Then there's another little gem appears that has a really good game and things like that. So it's a really competitive league, and I agree. I think when we done our predictions start of the season, we had it pretty much a 3-4 horse race type thing, and I think it might be like that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I've actually tipped Forest Green to win the league this season. I don't particularly know why. I mean, for all his sins,
No,
Robbie
me
Savage
neither.
does. I know. For all his sins, Robbie Savage does appear to be a relatively decent manager. And I just think they've built a really strong team, and they've got good experience at this level now. Obviously, your Carlisles, your Yorks, your Southends, any of them could go on to win the league if they put a good run together. But Forest Green are my sort of outside tip to actually do it this season. I think they've got a good group down there. I really like Kyle McAllister for Forest Green. Really good technical player, and he seems to be doing some real damage so far this season. Obviously, at the moment they are top, but there's a long way to go. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Well, it's been nice having you on, Ryan. You know,
I know that's me not getting invited back on. Isn't it?
not if I can help it.
No, I knew when you were saying it, I was like, "Oh, Mark's not going to take this well." But anyways, obviously we'll cover Scunthorpe there a bit, but we'll deep dive our 6 games from midweek now. We'll start with Eastleigh Scunthorpe. Obviously, we talked about it being abandoned. You know, there was maybe a few minutes left at the end. I think if common sense prevails, they might just say it was a 1-1 draw and come to that conclusion instead of making you replay the game. But how did you see the game, mate? How did you think you did in that game?
Yeah, I thought we did really well. To be honest with you, it's easy to be biased when you're supporting the team that you're supporting, but I did genuinely think we were the better team for the majority of the game. I thought Ollie Ewing and Joe Rowley in the centre of the park really got hold of their midfield three, because they were playing more of a sort of a wing back formation. We had more shots, we had more chances, and like I say, we did also get our noses in front for a short time before they equalised. But for me, I mean, them games make me more nervous when the opposition haven't created a lot. You know that they're going to get a chance, and unfortunately for us, it was another ball into the box where we didn't deal with the first contact. And Harvey Saunders, another player who I do rate really highly for Eastleigh, puts it in. But yeah, on the whole, I thought we were the better team. And I took a point before the game. I did say that I would definitely take a point. I think any point away from home is worth having. But it's so frustrating that we've gone in front again, the same as Brackley at the weekend, and conceded late. In terms of the abandonment, I'm not sure what's going to come of that. Obviously, it'll either be a replay or it'll be the result will stand. I do agree with you. I think common sense is just call it 1-1. There was a couple of minutes left. But I do also see the other argument of 2 minutes in football or two or 3 minutes in football can be a long time, and a lot can change. So it'd be interesting to see what the league come up with. And we did have a previous sort of incident with Buxton a couple of years ago, where they were winning 2-1, and the game
I
got
remember.
abandoned. Yeah, due to weather. And again, there was only 2 or 3 minutes left in that game, and it was actually ended up being replayed. So I think a lot of Scunthorpe United fans are thinking that it might end up getting replayed just on the basis of what they decided for Buxton. But I don't know if it's going to be a different outcome because it was a medical sort of emergency rather than the weather. I don't know if that has an impact in the decision making. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they come up with and what they decide. Really, I wouldn't be devastated with either outcome. Like I say, I thought we were the better team. I think it's more just the expense of going back down to Eastleigh. Obviously, the players will have to stay over again. The fans will have to travel again. It's a good 5 hours or 4.5 hours from Scunthorpe to get down to Eastleigh on a midweek. It's not an ideal journey. So yeah, I wouldn't be devastated with either outcome, but I think common sense is just there was a couple of minutes left and take the point each and move on, really.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the logistics of it, there's enough games as it is coming thick and fast. I just think, a couple of minutes left, and I think because it was a medical reason and it was, a serious reason, not that the weather's not serious as well, but just because there was injuries and there was people's health at stake and things like that, it's like, I think just common sense there for me. Just 1-1 draw, call it quits, just do it, and then you don't have to replay it. You don't have to travel again, like you say. The supporters don't have to travel again. There's enough travelling to do all season, so that would just be my take on it. But Craig, you've been very quiet so far, mate. How did
Change, isn't it?
how did you see this game, mate?
Yeah, so again, I don't really have too much to add. I think you guys have covered it well. For me, I think common sense should prevail. I wonder if they're delay that as long as possible towards later on in the season before making a decision to see if there becomes a spare weekend with FA Cup involvements, because if you say it's a long way to travel again on a Tuesday night, so hopefully the right decision's made for everyone. But the most important thing is there that the two players involved in the collision are still here to tell the story and to hopefully in the near future get back on the football pitch and do what they love and what all of us enjoy watching. It was a scary moment for all of us. I know we were all at different games and everything, and suddenly our phones all started blowing up, and we were all probably doing the similar things that evening, as soon just scrolling through, waiting for updates. And as they came through a lot more positively, there was probably a collective sigh of relief across the football community again. But yeah, the game, I think Scunthorpe edged it slightly, but the draw's a very fair result. And Eastleigh maybe the last couple of weeks have turned their fortunes a little bit after a bit of a slow start. But Scunthorpe should be delighted with their start. But the only thing for me for Scunthorpe is probably they could have an argument to have won all 6 games so far, which I don't think many other teams in the league could have had. And if you'd have said that to Ryan at the start of the season, he'd have absolutely bit your hand off probably. And he probably even would for the potential 12 points they've got now. So, yeah, great start for Scunthorpe. But as you said, probably, and we say probably, harder test to come for them in the next couple of weeks. Judge them again at September and see if they're still in the playoffs, which for me they easily could be.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Mark, how did you see the game?
Yeah, not too much. The safety of the players is obviously the pressing issue. Let's just see what the National League do. They are very prone to making some really goofy decisions, but yeah, the priority has to be with the players. As you said, Dan, medical will take over from weather conditions any day of the week. But I think the start has had to be justified for both clubs for very different reasons. Scunthorpe going up, they needed to get out of that National League North. They'll want to go full steam ahead. We're getting out of the National League, and Eastleigh, as we've harped on about, they have spent quite a bit of money, getting the likes of Lundstrom, our mate Aaron Blair in, for example. So they've got to, it might all just be coming together for Eastleigh, but as Brian said as well, they've got some very tough fixtures coming up, and Carlisle.
Nice, I like that. Next we've got
My pleasure.
Next, we've got Solihull Moors 0, Yeovil 1. Obviously, we've got quite a lot to cover here.
Oh.
The inevitable has been done. We knew it was coming at some point, but obviously the result kind of pressed the issue there. So, Craig, obviously Solihull Moors lost 1-0 to managerless Yeovil, and there was calls for Matt Taylor's head on the night, and obviously the next morning they announced that he was gone. How
And
did
for the
you
last
see this
6
one?
Yeah, the writing was on the wall for him. But they needed to see that they probably were seeing in that final game. Are the players fighting for him? Can he inspire that moment of quality to keep them going, to keep himself in the job? And the simple answer was no. I think he's flattered to deceive since the minute he got there. I think Jerry Gill, who's obviously a very well-known manager, especially in the National League South, came into the end stages of the last season and maybe gave him some guidance and helped him get through some bumpy situations. He moved on in the summer, and it doesn't feel to me that Matt Taylor ever really replaced him. He struggled, and since minute one this season, the writing's on the wall. They're the only team not to win a game so far, and that something needs to change for them. So they've decided managerial. It's just all about who they get next. There's obviously been a few names mentioned, Mark Cooper being one of them, obviously not long out of a job at Yeovil, who obviously is the team that has beat them. For them, it was probably the perfect team for them to play. They're in a bit of a sticky situation themselves. Can they go and play a team that's been a lot worse than them at the moment? There wasn't many teams on that list. Solihull was the name that was jumping out to go and play, and they've obviously managed to get the result. And Juni Moraes, poacher's finished this time around, but he seems to have a really good bit of form after obviously signing in the summer from Dagenham and Redbridge, and could have easily made our team of the week. I think he narrowly missed out mainly because of some of the performances of the other forward players across the league over the last 2 days. But yeah, Yeovil will be looking to appoint someone, I reckon, in the next week or so. There's a few rumblings going on there, and then for them it's looking upwards the table rather than down. Solihull got to get someone in experienced, I think, steady the ship, because I don't expect them to go down, but if they don't get this appointment right, they could be in trouble. But I think the squad he's assembled is actually quite good. It was just he was the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They came up here against Carlisle and they played really well. I was really impressed, and that was only maybe 3 weeks ago. They came up here and played really well, and I was like, they're not a bad side. And I think I got called out on here for my predictions of putting Solihull in 19th place or something when we had Griff on. But that prediction's not looking too bad at the moment. I think they would take 19th at the moment. Ryan, how did you see the Solihull? Obviously the sacking, and then how did you see the game?
Yeah, so, well, I mean, I don't know. I follow Craig. He's covered most of that there. What I will say about the goal, I know it was a poacher's finish from Marias, but it was poor defending as well from Solihull. I mean, I know the deflection was unfortunate, but they weren't very reactive to that. They seem too easy to play against at the moment, Solihull, and they're not creating enough at the other end. Obviously, I know they scored against Southend on Saturday, but that was a bit of a speculative effort from Dan Creaney. You're not going to be able to do that every single week. You need to be getting more balls into the box, good entries through the thirds, and at this moment in time, they're not doing that. So I'm not surprised to see Matt Taylor unfortunately let go. It's never nice to see anybody lose their job, but yeah, 7 games, 3 points, 3 draws is not good enough for a club like Solihull, who have actually been really competitive in the last few years. I mean, the last time we was in the National League 3 years ago, they finished 4th or 5th, and they had a real competitive squad and had a real good go. So it's a shame, really, to see them languishing at the bottom, and hopefully they get the next appointment right, because they're going to have to, in order to get themselves out of trouble. It's still early days. That's the good thing. They've still got time to turn it around, and they're not getting absolutely hammered. They're not losing sort of 3 or 4-0 every week. So it's clearly not major fixtures. It's just some of the finer details for them, I think. But in terms of the actual game on Tuesday, I think Yeovil obviously deserved it. They were the better side, and I'm not surprised, to be honest, to see them nick it, really.
Yeah, I agree with what Craig said. I think they were the perfect opponent for Yeovil. I think Yeovil needed to just get over obviously just lost their manager. Then they just need to get that win under their belt, and the best team to play was the team that were struggling themselves, hadn't won all season so far, and then obviously on the verge of sacking their manager. So I think he just came at the right time. Mark, anything to add on that one?
Well, it just took them longer than usual to pull the trigger on Matt Taylor, who I actually went and looked at his record, and he started out at Walsall, and he's now he better. I'd say the best thing for Matt Taylor now is to take up a coaching position somewhere and learn the craft of that side of football a bit more. Otherwise, he'll go into a career tailspin, and he'll just be forever known as failure. But at the same time as well, Solihull, they've just witnessed what's happened at Yeovil with Mark Cooper. They don't want to think, well, how many times can we shoot ourselves in the foot this season? Let's have this guy. Take the time with the appointment. I know somebody was who's been linked with the Yeovil job, and his name escapes me, was actually pictured at the game watching them on the Yeovil side of things. And as you say, Junior Marias, oh, Dagenham, what have you done? You've left. They've left the good carrots behind and have gone for the rotten vegetables, haven't they? So, but Solihull needed it. If they'd have left it another 2 to 3 games, then teams would have been far and away getting out of sight. They've got to keep them in a reasonable touching distance, but take the time with the appointment. Yeovil are taking time with their appointment, but something had to give in that game, and I think Callum, our Solihull supporting comrade, he wasn't shy about expressing how happy he was, but it's got to be right. Let's not make the same mistake twice. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Mm-hmm.
Fool yourself 3 times, it's got to be a drink.
Yeah, I mean, it was similar with Carlisle last season when they sacked Paul Simpson, and then it was like, right, you need to get the appointment right, and they appointed Mike Williamson, and everything got worse and worse, and then all of a sudden you end up in relegation and you're in real trouble before anybody else can even come in and save you. So they need to get it right, but I agree, they maybe just need to take a little bit of time and get it right, rather than rush into it. Next, we've got Wealdstone 3, Southend 2, a game that had a bit of everything in this one. Ryan, I'll come to you first, mate. How did you see this one?
Yeah, well, it wasn't the best night for the goalkeepers, was it? I think it's safe to say that.
Understatement.
Yeah, neither goalkeeper had a brilliant night. What I will say is it's a fantastic result for Wealdstone. I didn't see that coming, to be honest with you. I know they won the first 3 games of the season, but then they went on to lose the next 3. So I thought they were sort of starting to slide down the league a little bit. So, yeah, great result for them. Wealdstone strike me as one of them clubs. I think they enjoy being the underdog. They enjoy sort of that underdog title and ruffling up the feathers of the big boys. We saw it a little bit last season with some of the results that they got, particularly at home. They enjoy being really physical and, again, getting balls into the box and really causing the defenders some issues, really. So, yeah, it was a great result for them. I'm pleased for the Wealdstone goalkeeper because the 2 that he let in, let's just say, wasn't great. To put it nicely. But if you're going to make them kind of mistakes, do it in a win, and it's easier to sort of forget about it. I mean, I don't think he'll forget about the first one because it's been all over social media for the last 2 days on just about every single Twitter page. But yeah, overall, great win. Southend below par. They'll be disappointed with that result. Certainly if they've got sort of title aspirations or aspirations have been at the top end of the playoffs, that's a bit of a blow for them after a good start. But yeah, fair play to Wealdstone and another great win for them.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, less said about the keepers, the better. Craig, how did you see this one, mate?
Yeah, no, I think Ryan's covered it pretty well there. We've spoke in the last week or so about Wealdstone and not getting into a continued slump of losing games. And then we talked about them, how can they bounce back? And I think we all said well, not against Southend, because Southend will be on fire and we'll just kind of go there and beat them fairly comfortably. But this shows what the National League's all about. A team that was on a bit of a downward spiral against a team that was flying at the top, and they've put in a performance despite their goalie throwing two in the net. They've walked away with 3 points. So, again, we might be getting proved very wrong with Wealdstone if they can keep picking up results like that. But yeah, 12 points so far, they'll be absolutely delighted, and just stopping that rot and that slide that felt that were coming. But yeah, Southend need to chalk that one down as a bad day at the office and go and win at the weekend.
Yeah, massive for Wealdstone. Like Craig said, we talked about them dropping into a slump and need to stop that rot, and they've stopped it relatively quickly before it got too bad. So fair play to them, massive result. Mark, anything to add on that one?
How do you stop a rot? You go and beat one of the big boys. And they did it because Southend are opening a lot of eyes, they're turning a lot of heads this season. But if Wealdstone could be looked at as a sort of bread and butter club, and, well, yes, they will get results like that. You know, if these goalkeepers, I know of one Premier League goalkeeper who puts Vaseline on his gloves. If these goalkeepers at this level are putting Vaseline on their gloves, they need to take them off and slap themselves in the face with it. Stop putting stuff on your gloves and you'll catch the damn ball.
I mean,
Other than that, yeah, they did well. They did okay. Yeah, it was all good. Yeah.
I mean that sounds like a powerful message we'll send out on the podcast. We'll get Callum to do like a social media post. Stop using Vaseline on your gloves.
Yeah.
Get that on the merch, Mark. Next time, get that on the merch.
You don't have chapped hands when you're wearing gloves. Just leave them alone and catch the ball. That's your job.
It's your job. It's your job. Yeah. So, anyways, it was a cracking game for the neutral, anyways. But I'd imagine the goalkeepers would rather forget that game.
I
Next, no, me neither. I don't think social media will either, to be fair. But yeah, next we've got Sutton 3, Boreham Wood 4. Arguably the game of the midweek games.
Oh yeah.
Who's seen this coming? Not many of us after Sutton's big win against Carlisle at the weekend. Boreham Wood had struggled a couple of weeks as well. So, Mark, I'll come straight back to you, mate. What did you make of this one?
Oh, fantastic. Zach Brunt's name getting mentioned once again. He's becoming the talisman for Boreham Wood. But if we're going to say it once, we're going to say it 1,000 times in this. Luke Garrett, you know, Boreham Wood is his spiritual home. And, you know, he bleeds Boreham Wood. But as you say, the games, I mean, 4-3, who saw that coming? I bet you everybody who turned up at Sutton didn't see it coming. You know, value for money, as Aldershot have got their moniker for. But yeah, Sutton would have been riding high after beating Carlisle. But you just look what can happen. It's like Tottenham. They beat Manchester City 2-0, then went and lost 1-0 to Brentford. Expected? Probably. But, yeah, they've got it. Like we said with Wealdstone, how do they plug their gap? They did it. They beat Southend, one of the big teams. And now Sutton have got to sort of pick themselves back up again. Let's see the justification in these early signings. Somebody didn't like that, did they?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about obviously predicting what would happen. I wonder what absolute idiot predicted 0-0 for that game in their predictions. I know. As soon as I seen it, I think it was 1-0 after about 5 minutes, and I think I messaged the group chat and basically just said, "What idiot predicted 0-0 for this?" Oh wait, that was me. Craig, how did you see this one, mate?
Yeah, so Sutton are ultimately conceding too many goals. They've already conceded, I believe it's 15 in their first 7, so averaging conceding 2 goals a game at least, and that's going to be a real problem. Their goalkeeper is actually one of my favourite players in this league, so that doesn't particularly strike well for him. But I think it's more as a team, they're very kind of all over the place. They're considered a lot from set pieces, from second balls, and Boreham Wood for me have not being the surprise package because none of us had them to go down, but just the way anything in the game doesn't seem to phase them. They've had a couple of results now where they've bounced back. When we went there with Braintree, we scored an equaliser, didn't phase them in the slightest. They went and won. Away at Carlisle, they went 3-1 down, didn't phase them. They came back and got a point. This game, they went ahead. They went behind 2-1, didn't phase them. They went on to win the game. So it seems to be that real togetherness there that no matter what adversity is thrown their way, they're going to find a way to come out on top. And they've made an excellent start to the season and they'll be delighted. And it feels like it could continue. I'm not saying playoff heights. I'm saying I don't see them as a relegation threat. Sutton at the moment, unfortunately for them, could be, but I think they get it right as well.
Yeah, I mean, the belief's there. I was really impressed with them when they came up here. Like Craig mentioned, 3-1 down with about, I think it was 15 minutes to go. Got it back to 3-3. Could have even won it, to be fair. Like, they were unlucky not to win it at the end. There's a real belief there with Boreham Wood, and you know they obviously they've just come up as well, so very much similar to Scunthorpe, where they've came up and they've hit the ground running. Ryan, have Boreham Wood impressed you so far, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. They've certainly. I mean, certainly the Carlisle result, as Craig mentioned, going 3-1 down, it would have been easy to fold, but they didn't. They showed the character to come back. Same with yesterday. They obviously took the 1-0 lead against Sutton and then went 2-1 down. It would have been easy for them to fold. But similar to what I said about Wealdstone, I think Boreham Wood are another club that enjoy being up against it. They enjoy defending as a team, doing the basics well, and they enjoy, again, upsetting the bigger teams, or so to speak. We actually played Sutton a couple of weeks ago, and it was a similar sort of game. It was really open, and I think they're just a bit too easy to play against at the moment in terms of they're too easy to get through. They're giving away too many clear-cut chances, and they're not defending set pieces properly at the moment. I mean, we scored a couple against them as well, and that's the bread and butter of this league. Set pieces is so important. I mean, at any level it's important, but certainly in the National League it's important. And yeah, again, similar to a couple of the other teams, I don't think they're miles away. I don't think there's any major fixes that need to be done. I think it's just some of the sort of basics and the finer details for Sutton. But as Craig said, I think they'll be okay. I don't fancy them to go down. I think they'll win enough games over the course of the season. They're a reasonably big club for the level. They're obviously former EFL, and yeah, I think they'll get it right. I think they'll be comfortable in the end, I think.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Next, we've got Truro 2, Aldershot 2. Again, loads to talk about. My value for money again, Aldershot. If you want to see an entertaining game that's got everything, get yourself to any Aldershot game. Even if they're playing on a Sunday morning against a pub team, it's bound to be goals everywhere, red cards, all kinds. So, yeah, value for money. Ryan, I'll come back to you first, mate, for this. Obviously, the game had everything: sendings off, penalties, last-minute goals. How did you see it?
Yeah, so very good game again for the neutral. As you say, lots of drama. I know the first red card for Marcus Dewhurst was quite controversial. I know that's sort of split a lot of sort of pundits and fans and everything of the National League. The second red card, there's certainly no argument. I mean, he's on a yellow card and he pulls it back. It's the most cynical foul you'll see. So there's certainly no argument with that one. I think it's I mean, this sounds a bit ridiculous so early on in the season, but I think it's a real bad one for Truro. I think to be 2-1 up, obviously you need the points at home. They've had a tough start. I know they had a good 3-0 win on Saturday, but overall they've had a tough start to the season. That were struggling for goals, and I think to be 2-1 up at home against 9-man Aldershot and not to see it out, I think psychologically, as much as anything, that'll be quite damaging for them. I think Aldershot at home is the kind of game they need to be winning if they want to stay up this season. So I think to concede late is a bad one for them. It does, from watching the highlights and everything of the game, it looks like Aldershot did actually have the better of the game, even when they went down to 10 men. They did control the ball and they looked more threatening. So they'll be happy with that. I think they're feeling quite hard done to with the officials on the night. And yeah, I think both teams will take a point before the game. But yeah, for me, it's a bad one for Truro. I think they had to get that over the line. I know they've picked up 4 points from 2 games, which isn't a bad return for any side. But for me, they're the kind of games you've got to be just seeing out, really. So they'll be frustrated as much as anything, I think, with that one.
Yeah, I agree. I think mentally for Truro, like you say, I think Aldershot's like the down to 9 men. You've got to see that out. If Truro go down by 2 points at the end of the season, they'll look back at that game as a massive 2 points lost, in my opinion. Craig, how did you see this one, mate?
Yeah, so for me, the first red card was never a red card. I can see why some people do think it is, because it looked a little bit kind of reckless, but he cleared the ball a good 2-3 seconds before the Truro player got there, and then, as I think Ryan summed it up perfectly, the minute that happens, Truro have to go on and win that game. They then get themselves ahead 2-1. Truro, Aldershot get a second red, which Ryan said obviously was probably the easy and maybe the only decision the referee got right on the night. But you've got to go on and win from there. And they've got Carlisle away on Saturday, which I don't know if you'll agree, Dan, because you like backing against Carlisle. But for me, that's a 3-point banker for Carlisle every day. And then Truro have got a tough run. They've got tough games. That home form, and like you said, that dropping 2 points there could be colossal in their season, not just for the points, but their mentality going in there. Next time I play it, because the team will get someone sent off against them at some stage. It happens for every team. How will they react? Will they be a bit negative? How will they respond to it? And it just feels like they're a little bit short after that game, and they're going to have a massive tinge of disappointment. But yeah, for me, that could be the difference, that bit of quality. In games like that, you have to win. You have to win, and I do fear for them after that, because six points in 5-6 days at home, whatever it was, Saturday, Tuesday, that would have done the world of good for their confidence. And now they've still got 4, but as you said, it's the psychological, how they got the last one when they should have had a Stonewall 3, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going to come to Truro's official spokesperson, Mark, in a moment. I'm sure you'll have a more positive outlook for the Truro side of things, but obviously massive credit to Aldershot as well. You know, down to 10 men, then down to 9 men, still grinded out a result, which is massive for them as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. How did you see it, Mark?
Well, I'll get this out of the way first. The first sending off was an absolute travesty. I mean, it was more or less a clearance, and then all of a sudden the player pops up afterwards, and yeah, I'd appeal that red card. But here's the thing. How do you predict what you're going to do against the unpredictable? You can't. You honestly can't. Aldershot, your value for money, as you harp on about, Dan. But then we said at the start of the season, what is it that they really want? Well, they're showing this real kamikaze side to them. And 9 men, yeah, you would expect to win there, but this is one of the craziest teams we've got in the league here. You couldn't look at that and think, yeah, Truro are going to do this, against the teams that just don't seem to know how to give up, and that's fair. It's fair play to Aldershot. That'll serve them well. But what Truro are doing at the moment is that they've started to score goals, because they had a very early spell in the league where they didn't. They've just got to tighten up at that in the back four, which I'm sure John Askey will do. But yeah, I'll let them off this time, because no team knows what they're going to do against Aldershot, because Aldershot don't know what they're going to do themselves.
I mean that's very true. To be fair, you're right. You don't know what you're going to get. They don't know what they're going to do either. So I agree. How can you prepare for that?
Don't get me wrong; it's absolutely brilliant as well. I love the unpredictable football, and that's what Aldershot are giving. And I love it. And I love it. And anybody who doesn't enjoy it, well, you know what you can do.
Yeah, I agree. And then obviously our last deep dive is Braintree 1, Tamworth 2. Craig was obviously on comms on the zone for this. How did you see the game, Craig?
Yeah, so firstly, Tamworth were outstanding on the day. I think at halftime I described it as the perfect away performance. They then had 10 minutes where they allowed Braintree back into the game and they took a chance through Mason Terry. Game then kind of was a bit back and forth, and then Beck Gray and Noro come up with a bit of magic if you're a Tamworth fan. Shambolic defending if you're a Braintree fan, because he's walked through 4 or 5 players without a tackle. And we've discussed in the weeks how many penalties we've given away. And I think that might have been going for a few players' heads because they were so scared to touch him that he's kind of just wandered in and passed it into the corner. But let's give him the credit. It was an outstanding goal. He was crucial in both goals. For Braintree, linking back to Truro a moment ago, they're the games you got to get something out of. A part-time team coming to you on Tuesday night, and they were the better side by a country mile. Team selection for me was wrong. Everything I've said good in here over the last 6 games, 5 if we completely ignore the Carlisle one, which I prefer we do. As centered around Marty Marshall Miranda and James Bennings playing in midfield together. And then through different changes, Manny and Moray came into the midfield and Miranda was more in the 10 position. He didn't get close enough to Akinde. He wasn't close enough to the midfielders. He was kind of in no man's land in there. And he'd been our best player all season so far, and he was kind of a bit lost. So that didn't work for me. The young lads that come on, Fletcher Hubbard, who I've sung praises, done really well. Fletcher Hubbard, Freddie Hockey. That wasn't easy on commentary, that one either, because they came out at the same time. But Freddie Hockey came from Chelsea. That was the first time I'd really seen him given some time in the National League when it mattered, and he looked quite lively. Managed to round Jazz Singh before an excellent interception just as he was about to tap it in from Tamworth. But then for the last 10 minutes, I'd just become the Hayden Hollis fan club. Anything that went in that box, he just attacked it, headed it, cleared it, anything like that. He just, for them, they were going home with 3 points or they were going home with nothing, and they were just putting their bodies on the line for the team. And for them, it's a fantastic result. I know they may have been a little bit fresher because they didn't play Saturday, but for me, that was a perfect away performance. If you ignore the 10 minutes after half time, the perfect away performance from Tamworth. But they won't care about that 10 minutes now because they went back with the 3 points. And credit to Jazz, who obviously done fantastic on the predictions last week. He's hurt my feelings twice this week now after smashing the predictions and then smashing me on the pitch as well.
Yeah, I mean, massive win for Tamworth. A little bit of worrying signs for Braintree, obviously losing them kind of games at home. But it's still early days. Mark, how did you see this game, mate?
It's great that Braintree have got some, potential excellence in the younger players, but if budget allows it, I think they've got to bring in a bit more experience. As Craig said, he'll know about the game better than any of us will here tonight. I'll ask Craig a question now. Do you think they're missing Kyril Lisby?
Yes. I honestly, Mark, I don't know where the goals are coming from this year.
And that will be the problem, I think. I mean,
I love Big John. I love John Akinde. And I've talked about how good he makes the other players at times. But he's not the one that's going to get you the goals at the minute. He's yet to score in 7 for us, which for a striker is the worst case to stuff just a season, especially when you've missed a penalty. And I don't know where the goals are coming from. If we can, for me, obviously you've talked about experience. If we can find a really good 19, 20-year-old striker on loan from a league club who knows where the back of the net is, then I think we'd be okay. Someone that can learn off Akinde. Freddie Hockey might be that guy, but I don't see it. But someone who can score the goals. But we do have a mini injury crisis as well. Walker was out.
That never helps.
Who else was there? There was a few missing. Alan Judge getting good experience, pro to be around. Tom Blackwell's not quite back yet. Ryan Clamping's out for the foreseeable future. Kyle Smith went out injured. Like maybe a couple of loans in, especially in the number 9 position for me over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, all the optimism from after Halifax is slowly drifting out of me a little bit.
It's running down the hill like a trickle from a river.
At least you managed to get in about you being top of the league a few times that first week, though.
Just the 7,000.
Yeah, but you say that, Dan. But so they should.
Oh no, I wasn't being sarcastic. I agree.
Got in there too.
Yeah, no, I wasn't being sarcastic. I'm just saying, like, at least he got it in. Like, at least he got that chance to do it. Not every team gets to do it. I wasn't being sarcastic. I was just saying it was nice. But anyways, Ryan, how did you see the game after I've finished it? Have a mark out telling me off like I'm a child?
Brilliant win for Tamworth. The other two lads have summed it up pretty well there. Tamworth's a club. I mean, 2 years ago we was actually in a title battle with Tamworth. So I've seen quite a bit of them in the last few years. I think Andy Peaks has done a brilliant job there. Obviously getting them up the leagues and on the FA Cup run as well last year, where they eventually went out to Tottenham. And it's one of them where it's a massive win for Tamworth. In terms of Braintree, it's not the kind of game you want to be losing. I think Tamworth will be disappointed to concede from a corner, because that's something that normally Tamworth are absolutely brilliant at, set pieces and long throws and things like that, as I said earlier on. So they'll be disappointed to concede in that fashion, but they won't care. They've come away with a 2-1 win, and they'll be delighted with that. They had a little bit of a shaky start to the season. I know they beat Truro at home early on and picked up a point at home to Brackley, but they've been struggling on the road. And Braintree have been pretty good at home so far. So, it was a bit of a surprise result, to be honest. I actually thought it might finish a draw. But great win for Tamworth.
Yeah, definitely. I think the majority of us predicted a Braintree win, to be fair. I just thought Braintree at home, it looked pretty nailed on for me. Shows how wrong I was. That's it for our deep dive anyways. Craig, your time to shine. 5 in 5 minutes.
Perfect. Or as Mark calls it, 5 in 2 minutes.
Yeah, 5 in 1 minute and a half from Mark last week. So the floor is yours, Craig. Take it away, mate.
Perfect. So we've covered most of the games on Tuesday. The game we haven't covered is Morecambe 1, Forest Green 3. Morecambe took the lead for an excellent finish from Edwards that could potentially be in our Goal of the Month compilation for September. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. And then Morecambe, a new, young, exciting manager. How's he going to play? He's going to try and play out from the back. They got caught for the first goal, and then it become after that the Tom Knowles show. Probably limited minutes for him this season that he's wanted, but every time he's made an impact. So he was rewarded with a start, and how did he reward his manager? With the second and third goals. Either side of half-time killed the momentum in the game for Morecambe, and then it was comfortable for Forest Green. We've covered everything else on Tuesday, so moving on to Wednesday. We've got Brackley 0, Carlisle 1, which was a shock to Dan because he backed his own team to lose. Again, a scruffy game, not an ideal game for Carlisle to start with after losing, going to Brackley. We know it's going to be a tough place, but they've got out of there with their goal scorer scoring again. Regan now on top on his own on 6 for the season. So he'll be delighted with that. They'll be delighted getting out of there with a 1-0. Nothing really exciting happening in the game, quite a poor standards, but to get out of there 1-0 after losing your first game, how do you bounce back? Doesn't have to be vintage. Make sure you get the 3 points. They've done that for Brackley. There's going to be more relevant tests for them throughout the season, but been impressed with how they've started the season. The next game, the tale of the penalties in this one, Halifax versus Woking. 2 ones that may have not been penalties. Not overly convinced with the refereeing in that game as well. Both penalties taken fairly well, although Sam Johnston was disappointed because I think he felt he could have saved Harry Beautyman's penalty. Halifax scored in the 91st minute to get the equaliser and then hit the bar in, I believe it's at the 101st minute, so some real long additional time in that one. But they seem to, as we talked about Wealdstone earlier, they've stopped their slump now. They've had some home games and things seem to be a little bit better for them, but maybe not reaching the heights they have in previous seasons. They seem to be like they could be a mid-table side this time. Woking again, have picked up a few results along the way now, got a few points, and it's looking a little bit rosier than it was this time 2 weeks ago. Gateshead versus Altrincham. Game was over after 2 brilliant goals from Altrincham on the counter-attack. They then controlled it after Panny got sent off in 75 minutes for Gateshead, and for them, it just seems, I don't want to ruffle anything, it just seems such a soulless place for a home ground. I'm not a fan of where they play, and it's really hard probably to build it as a bit of a fortress. We talked about Brackley, Braintree, Tamworth, all them teams where everything's on top and you can make it hostile for them other teams. It doesn't seem to be the case there at Gateshead, and for them, they've had a much better start than we anticipated. That for them, they might just be able to write this one off as a really bad day at the office and go again. But Altrincham controlled it from minute 1 to minute 99, we say, with additional time, and they'll be delighted with that one. Hartlepool, Boston. When I saw Hartlepool went 1-0 up after 23 minutes, again, an excellent finish from Luke Charman. I thought, well, that game's done because they're not conceding. But Boston, again, we were talking about them on the last podcast after a really disappointing result at Truro. How would they bounce back? And they've shown it. You'd be delighted with a point at Hartlepool, and that's what they've managed to get. And they've managed to score against Harvey Cartwright, who's very close to making a team of the month for August. So they'll be delighted with that result, Boston, and a little bit of a bounce back after the poor result against Truro, where Truro weren't going to score any goals according to the Boston fans. Just getting that one in there again. And I think that's it. I'm done.
Yeah, grand job, mate. I was about 4.5 minutes. That was pretty good. Pretty good. Well worked out, mate. Obviously, you mentioned there about our team of the month and things like that. Obviously, they're going to be on our socials. We've done goal of the month, player of the month, manager of the month. That's all going to be on our social media as well. Voted for by you, not just us. So you can't have a go at us if you don't like the answers.
You've only got yourselves to blame.
Yeah, you've only got yourselves to blame. It wasn't our fault. Just getting that in there as well before anyone complains.
Yeah. Scunthorpe fans, I'm sure, will be delighted on that one. Because
I was just about to say that. Yeah, Ryan will be
on pods. I'll let you do the announcements, Dan, of who won what. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, so manager of the month was Scunthorpe manager Andy Butler. Well deserved. The percentage was around, it was more than half, I think it was it 52%, I think, of votes went for Scunthorpe. Mark was very happy that obviously Forest Green didn't get it. 44%, sorry, yeah. You keep me right on the stats, Craig. Goal of the month, if I'm right in remembering, was Regan Linney for Carlisle.
Goal of the month, sorry, was Danny Whitehall.
Oh, Danny Whitehall, sorry.
Yep.
Danny Whitehall for
versus Tamworth.
It was
53.1%.
That's the one I was thinking about. Yeah, I mean, well deserved. It was an absolute outstanding free kick. And then the one that I got wrong there, muddled up, was player of the month, which was Regan Linney.
59.8%.
Yeah, I mean, top scorer in the league is basically the reason Carlisle aren't a lot lower down than they potentially should be at the moment. I think it's well deserved, but it could have been any of 3 or 4 players, I think, in my opinion. But like I say, voted for by the people, so it wasn't our fault. So don't come at us on social media if you're not happy. If you're not happy, you maybe should have voted for it if you didn't. So
slap yourself in the face with the Vaseline covered glove.
Yeah, true. Vaseline covered gloves. That could be something else we sell on the merch, Mark. Something else.
That might be used for other exercises, so let's not suggest that.
Yeah, let's move that on. Yeah. So next, yeah. So predictions, guys. Obviously, got full game Saturday, and then we've got a Tuesday game as well with York as well. So Craig, I'll come to you first, mate. Altrincham against Sutton.
I have gone score draw 1-1.
Yeah, I've got 2-1 Altrincham. Mark?
Biting the tongue, 2-0 Altrincham against the bag of wet washing.
Ryan?
I've gone 3-1 Altrincham, just because Sutton are conceding quite a lot of goals at the moment. So, yeah, I'm backing them to do the same. I think it'd be 3-1 Altrincham.
Yeah. Next, we've got Boreham Wood, Morecambe. I've got 1-0 Boreham Wood. Mark, what have you got for this one?
Same score again, 2-0, but Boreham Wood.
Ryan?
I agree with Mark. I've also got 2-0 Boreham Wood. Obviously, Morecambe have only played one away from home so far, so it's difficult to judge. But it was a 4-0 loss at Aldershot. So, yeah, I'm predicting them to struggle, and Boreham Wood are playing well at the moment. So 2-0 for me.
Yeah. Craig?
3-1 Boreham Wood.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty unanimous there. Next, we've got Boston against Solihull Moors. Mark, I'll come to you first, mate. What have you got for this one?
I'm only seeing this a 3-0 win for Boston. They will, if Solihull have not got anybody in place by then yeah, they'll be thrown to pieces basically because Boston need to do something.
Craig?
I've gone for another score draw, 1-1.
I've got 1-1 as well, Craig. I'm thinking the shackles are off. Matt Taylor's gone. There might be a little bit of a bounce, just a little bit, before they get the new manager in. That's my thought process. Ryan?
I'm actually going to go a bit controversially. I'm going to go for 1-0 Solihull. I think they've got to win at some point. They're not conceding. I mean, they're conceding too many goals, but they're not conceding a ridiculous amount of goals. And as I said earlier, they're not getting hammered. And Boston are the kind of team that you don't really know what you're going to get from them. They can sometimes be brilliant and they can sometimes be terrible. So just to throw it out there, I'm going to go for 1-0 Solihull.
Yeah.
I might look stupid by 5 o'clock, though.
Welcome to my world, mate. It happens every week to me. Next, we've got Carlisle Truro talking of looking stupid against every fibre of my being and everything in my head telling me anything else. I'm going 1-0 Truro. Mark?
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but only just 1-1.
Oh, Craig?
I've got full faith in your boys, even if you haven't, mate. 3-0 Carlisle.
I didn't say I didn't have faith. I'm just saying Truro's winning 1-0. Ryan?
I've actually gone 4-0 Carlisle. I think it's been such a long journey for Truro, and on the back of the disappointment of conceding late on Tuesday, I think this will be a struggle for them. But again, it's one of them where if Truro keep them out early on, they could easily frustrate them. But I think if Carlisle score early, I can see them getting a few. So yeah, so I'll go for 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I
similar
say,
to the Braintree game, I'm with you on that one, mate.
Yeah, my mind is telling me that is the kind of game we're going to be experiencing. But like I say, for the reverse psychology effect, 1-0 Truro. Next, we've got Forest Green Hartlepool. Ryan, what have you got for this one, mate?
Well, as I said earlier, I backed Forest Green to actually win the league this season, so it would be stupid of me to not back them to win this sort of a game at home. I think it will be really tight. Hartlepool have been really good defensively, so I'll go for a 1-0 Forest Green.
Yeah, Craig?
Yeah, similar to Ryan, but I've gone 2-1 Forest Green.
Yeah, I've got 2-0 Forest Green. Mark?
0-0.
Always got to have a rogue 0-0. Rogue 0-0.
Yeah, well, the irresistible force meeting the immovable object.
Next, we've got Rochdale Braintree. Mark, I'll come to you first. What have you got for this one?
I'm so sorry, Craig, but Rochdale are going to do this 3-0.
Yeah, I've got 3-0 Rochdale as well. Sorry.
Oh, for
Sorry,
God's sake.
Craig.
Well, that's Braintree winning then, isn't it?
Well, we'll see what happens. The reverse psychology seems to be working for me, so we'll see.
Yeah, but you're getting all the abuses. Must be worth it.
I'll take it if it means Carlisle are going to win every game. If I predict them to lose every week, it doesn't bother me at all. Ryan?
I've gone for 1-0 Rochdale on this one. I think Braintree will make it more difficult than people think. But I think Rochdale just have too much quality in the end. So I'll go for 1-0.
Yeah. Craig?
I hate myself for 2 reasons. Because I've backed my team to lose and I've backed the same score as Dan. 3-0 Rochdale.
Braintree have got a real chance now on Saturday. I'm telling you, they've got a real chance.
Hang on, Craig. 3-0 was me.
It's both of you.
It was both of
Both
us.
of them. Was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Well, that's a nailed on Braintree win. Congratulations.
Yeah, just give them the points now. Next, we've got Scunthorpe, Wealdstone. Makes sense to come to Ryan first. What have you got for this one, mate?
I can't not back my own team. I will go for, obviously, Wealdstone have done really well this season. It's going to be a really tough game. We haven't got a clean sheet yet. I'm not going to back us to do it this time. I'm going to go for a 2-1. I think it'd be a tight game. I'm going to go 2-1 Scunthorpe.
Yeah, I've got 3-1 Scunthorpe in this one. Again, I just think too much firepower for them personally. Mark?
I'm sharing Ryan's sentiments. 2-1 Scunthorpe.
Craig, full house again?
Yeah, 2-1 as well. So another
Oh.
samesies.
I
Well
mean, I
done,
haven't gone
Wilson.
for it this time though, so it might actually happen. So yeah, next we've got Southend, Halifax. I'll go first. I've got 2-0 Southend. I think Southend give the goalkeeper a telling off, and they pull themselves together and have a clean sheet. Craig's reaction tells me I know what I'm going to get when I go to Craig, so I'll go to Craig next.
Oh, no.
2-0 Southend. Moving on.
Mark?
You're not going to believe this. 2-0 Southend.
Ooh, have we got like nearly all the same? Ryan, what's yours, mate?
I've gone for 3-1 Southend.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened yet. Where all four people have went for the
I'd
same.
like to point out, then, I do owe you a little bit of an apology because I'm moaning about your results, but you're actually higher than me in the league now. So
That's all right. I'm used to the abuse. Just keep it flowing. It's fine. Don't worry. I've got broad shoulders. It's fine. I can handle it. Next, we've got Tamworth, Eastleigh. Craig, what have you got for this one, mate?
I've gone 2-1 Tamworth.
Mark,
2-2.
I've got 1-1. Ryan,
And I've also got 1-1.
oh, sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, I think both sides. Yeah, both sides are sort of tough to beat, and I think it'd be quite a cagey game. And I'll go for 1-1.
Yeah, I agree. Next, we've got Mark's favourite team, the Dry Toast. We've got Woking, Gateshead. Mark, I'll come to you first, mate.
Oh, God, dang it. Oh, 0-0. Oh, the most uninspiring game I could possibly think of this weekend. And it's going to get the most uninspiring result. It's 0-0.
Craig,
Slightly awkward after Mark saying it's going to be the most boring. I've gone 3-2.
3-2 Woking.
Woking. 3-2 Woking.
Yeah, I've got 2-1 Woking. Ryan,
And I've got 2-0 to Woking.
Well, at least we've got some different results there, so someone's going to gain some points there somewhere.
It won't be me.
Yeovil versus York. It feels like for ages since York last played a game, to be honest. Yeovil, York. Craig, I'll come to you first, mate. What have you got for this one?
2-1 York. 2-1 away win.
Yeah. Mark?
Oh, what will Stuart Maynard do? What will he do? 1-1.
Ooh. Ryan?
I've also gone for 1-1. I think, as you say, with York not playing for a couple of weeks, I think that might hinder them. And I think it'll take them a while to get into the game. And Yeovil, obviously, now they've sacked the manager, they should have a little bit of a bounce as well. So I agree with Mark. I'm going to go with 1-1 on this one.
Keeping Ollie Pearce was essential as well. Let me say
definitely.
that before we get the usual mob crying their eyes out.
I've gone 2-2 actually. I'm the same. It'll either go one way or the other. They'll either be really fresh, play Yeovil off the park and comfortably win, or they'll be get caught cold a little bit because they haven't played for a while. Yeovil have got a bit of a bounce, like Ryan said. So yeah, I've gone 2-2. And then the 5:30 game on Saturday is Aldershot against Brackley. Mark, I'll come to you first, mate. What have you got for this one?
Oh my goodness gracious me! Aldershot and Brackley. Going to be entertaining. It's going to be a very entertaining 2-2 draw, and no silly sendings off this time.
Yeah, value for money. I've gone 3-1 Aldershot in this one. Craig?
3-1 Aldershot.
Oh, for the love of God.
I mean, I'm happy if Craig just goes for the same as me. It means I can stay in front of him in the league. Ryan?
Yeah, stop doing that, Craig.
I've gone for a few more goals. I've gone for a 4-2 Aldershot win.
There you
mean,
go.
I
That's
can
how
see
it's
it.
gone. That's how
I
it's
can
gone.
see it. I can see it. Goals everywhere. And then last, we've got obviously Tuesday's game, which was a rearranged game, which is York against Tamworth. Craig, I'll come to you first, mate. What have you got for this one?
York 3, Tamworth 1.
Brian?
I've got York 3, Tamworth 0.
Mark?
I've got York 2, Tamworth 0.
I've got York 2-0 as well, Mark.
Oh, for God's sake.
I wanted to go last there just to
I'm not
see.
here on Sunday, so it will be very, very different, hopefully.
Well, hopefully, yeah, we won't know that result on Sunday though, so it'll be fine.
I mean, I'm talking about the rest of them.
The rest of them, yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree. But yeah, that's it from us. Obviously, been another fun-filled hour and a bit, you know. So thanks to Ryan for joining us, Scunthorpe fan. All the best for the season, mate. Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much for having me on, and hopefully I at least get one of the predictions right, because normally I'm pretty terrible at getting score predictions. So we'll see how it goes as to whether I'll come back on or not.
You and me both, mate. Thanks as always to Mark and Craig for joining me as well, and thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to look on our social media for our Team of the Month, Goal of the Month, Manager of the Month, Player of the Month, all our awards, and we'll see you all again next time. Take care.